Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the weekly weather briefing for the week of Monday, May 13th here in Eastern Washington, North Idaho. I am John Fox, meteorologist here with the National Weather Service in Spokane. So let's take a look at the weekly weather outlook for tomorrow or Tuesday. We'll see a passing cold front. It'll begin a cooling trend for the area with a chance of showers for most locations. It'll also be breezy behind that cold front as well. For quite a few areas, we're not expecting extraordinary winds, just generally 15 to 20 mile per hour gusts over portions of the inland northwest. For Wednesday, it looks like we will be between systems with a small chance of showers, mainly over the mountain locations. By the time we get to Thursday and Friday, that's when we expect to see the most significant weather of the week. There's a much wetter system that arrives from the south or south-southwest, and it'll bring widespread showers to most locations. There'll also be a small chance of thunderstorms over extreme eastern Washington and north central Idaho. Locally heavy rain certainly looks like a possibility, especially over southeast Washington down by the Blue Mountains into adjacent portions of north central Idaho, including the Camas Prairie and Clearwater Mountains. By the time we get to the weekend, that system will be moving out, but we will remain fairly unsettled. There'll be a chance of showers each day, but precipitation amounts or precipitation potential looks like it'll call for lighter amounts of rainfall. So we're going to take a look at the weekly weather impact over the area, and you'll notice that there's a chance of showers listed for all the locations on this chart for each day, but the main things I want you to focus on is these yellow squares, which correlate with the day we expect to see the greatest chance of showers. We'll also see a small chance of thunderstorms for those boxes that are shaded yellow. That would include Spokane, Sandpoint, and Lewiston. By the time we get to Friday, it looks like that thunderstorm threat begins to decrease, but some locally, especially across southeast Washington into north central Idaho, and that's why we're coloring Lewiston yellow for Friday because of that possibility. By the time we get to the weekend, again, we're holding on to that chance of showers, but by that point, we expect the rainfall amounts to be slightly lower. Once that cold front goes through, here's a look at what the temperature trends are going to do once the cold front moves past. You'll notice that we see temperatures today in the mid-70s to mid-80s across the region, but those temperatures are going to drop off rapidly as the cold front moves through, and that cooling trend is going to continue through the middle and into the end of the week. We're actually looking at temperatures below normal here in Spokane and in Lewiston. That'll be the first time we've seen temperatures below normal since the beginning of May. You'll also notice on the bottom of both of these charts that we're expecting a pretty good decent chance of rainfall each day, especially for the Thursday and Friday time period. If we look at Wenatchee and Sandpoint, same story. We're expecting below normal temperatures to develop by Thursday and continue through the weekend. And again, chance of precipitation each day, especially Thursday and beyond. If we take a look at the rainfall, we talked about the rainfall already, but how much rainfall are we actually expecting? Well, the map in the top left shows the predicted rainfall for Thursday. This is the 24 hours ending 5 p.m. Thursday. You'll notice we see rainfall amounts ranging from 1/10 of an inch to 1/3 of an inch across much of north central and northeast Washington. Across the Columbia Basin, totals generally less than 1/10 of an inch, and some heavier amounts near the Cascades. We also mentioned that chance of thunderstorms. This red dotted box shows where we would expect to see the greatest chance of thunderstorms. Again, that's over the far eastern portions of Washington into north central Idaho. Again, that threat of thunderstorms begins to wane by the time we get into Friday, but that second system that moves in could potentially bring even heavier precipitation amounts. We're expecting again to see 1/3 of an inch across north central northeast Washington, similar amounts near the Cascades, but where I really want you to focus is across the Clearwater Mountains, southern Shoshone County, into the Camas Prairie, and perhaps the Blue Mountains as well, where right now we could see the possibility of anywhere from 1/2 an inch up to 3/4 of an inch. Right now we only have around 3/10 of an inch in Lewiston, but it's quite conceivable but this heavier rainfall could extend farther northward and impact the Lewiston area. It has been dry for the past few weeks, so even though we do see rainfall amounts indicated here, it won't necessarily lead to significant flooding or anything like that. So that's the good news. Now, as far as the rainfall and hydrology, what has happened over the past week? Well, taking a look at the snow water equivalent, or the amount of water that's held in the snowpack, You'll notice mid-30s here in the Cascades, 50s and 60s across north central, northeast Washington, and 60s and 70s across north Idaho. That is down from 10 to 15% across north Idaho from last week at this time, and anywhere from 11 to 28% over the Cascades. And we can look at that a little bit closer by looking at some snow tells. These are the instruments used to measure the amount of liquid in the snowpack. The first one we'll look at is Hart's Pass on the left. The black line indicates the amount of snow that is still left in the snowpack. And you'll notice over the past week that that level has dropped off pretty rapidly. We lost a lot of snow in the past week. If that trend continues, which it very well may because we've turned the corner as far as accumulating snows for this time of year, that would indicate we're anywhere from about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of schedule right now in the North Cascades, which would indicate that perhaps we'd melt the snow off maybe as early as the end of the month or early June. And again, that's anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks ahead of schedule for the complete melt-off. If we move to Hidden Lake, which is in extreme northern Idaho near Bonners Ferry, same sort of thing. We've melted the snow off pretty rapidly over the past week or two. And if we compare the black line, which is the current year, to the green lines, which is an average year over the past 30 years, it looks like we're anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks ahead of schedule as far as that spring melt-off goes. So again, if we just see normal weather from here on out, that would indicate that we would see conditions snow melt about 1 to 2 weeks early for that area of North Idaho. Alright, so with all the rain and all the snow melt in the forecast, what is that going to do to the rivers? Well, the good news is we don't see any flooding, or we don't expect any flooding right now on any of the main stem rivers. The two rivers we're looking at right now would be the Stehekin River, which is at action or near bankfull stage. It's expected to fluctuate near that level at least through the weekend. The other river of concern is the Kootenai River at Bonners Ferry. That is showing a rapid rise to occur through the weekend. Some of that is rain melt, but most of it is due to dam releases up in Canada that's causing that rise to occur. Again, main stem river flooding isn't expected at this time. Quick look at the drought outlook. This is the drought outlook for this week, the latest one issued. And for the most part, things look very similar to what they did last week over north central Washington and northeast Washington as well as North Idaho. We're still looking at abnormally dry conditions across much of the area. Still that area of moderate drought here across north central Washington in the Cascades, Chelan, and Okanagan counties. Really the only changes over the past week was the inclusion of some more dry conditions over western Washington. Otherwise, things look fairly similar to what they did last week at this time. Given the upcoming pattern, we would expect conditions to improve a little bit versus what we're seeing right now. Now, as far as the longer range outlook goes, we're calling for more of the same once we get into this cool, wet pattern. Looks like it's going to continue. We're favoring the 8 to 14 day outlook calls for pretty decent chance of cooler than normal conditions continuing across much of the inland northwest, and the wetter than normal conditions are most likely expected to occur as well for the week of May 20th to May 26th. So basically, once we get in this cool, wet pattern, it looks like it's going to be here for a while. So in summary, it's going to turn much cooler this week with well-needed rains coming. Locally heavy rainfall is going to be possible Thursday and Friday, and again, that area of concern is mainly southeast Washington into north central Idaho. River rises are expected with bankfull conditions possible on the Stehekin River and high water levels on the Kootenai River due to dam releases. Just a few administrative things. We do have some Skywarn spotter training classes coming up. First one is Thursday, May 16th in Sandpoint, Idaho. We also have one in Shoshone County on May 23rd. Finally, we're going to do an online class for anyone who wants to attend. You can go to this link here to register, and that's on Tuesday, May 28th. Also, we have a spring weather workshop. If you haven't registered yet, please do so soon because it's coming up in about 10 days or so. If you have any questions about that, please contact Andrew Bound at NOAA.gov. And again, stay tuned to the latest forecast from your National Weather Service in Spokane, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.